Hey everyone. So I have been doing a bunch of VOD review of Hooney's games from late 2020, so like last couple weeks of the regular season and the playoffs and stuff. And I figured if I'm doing that, and I'm taking a lot of notes on them because I want to have a really good updated full opinion of Hooney uh, since he was announced as playing for TSM. And so I figured if I was doing that, I might as well do a little bit of it on stream. So I've got a couple more games that I haven't kind of rewatched yet. From my notes, I think these two are a couple of the more decent ones. What I want to watch is games two and three of the EG against Cloud9 series. I just watched game one a little bit earlier, and in that game, Hooney was decent. One of the better players on the team is Svenskeren, Golden Glue, Zazel all had some pretty bad stuff, and somehow the team never got good gold onto Bang, who was playing Callista, and he just couldn't do a whole lot. So, anyways, we're going to flip over, and hopefully I've got things set up okay here. I think my camera's a little bit out of position. So I'm just going to tweak that. There we go. And yeah, so this is game two of him playing Ornn, and he's up against Licorish's Gangplank. So we're just going to roll it from there. No really clear agenda here. I'm specifically focusing on Hooney and his play. So that's what we're going to kind of focus on and talk about. Get a little more centered here. So I'm going to try to focus on the game because I'm trying to study it. So, questions about stuff other than this game and Hooney and so on, I'm probably going to avoid talking about that too much because I don't want to get distracted from what I'm doing here. I am doing this as prep for doing a more in-depth kind of video and discussion of what I think of Hooney and how I think he'll do on TSM. So I have been watching a bunch of those games over the last few days. So in this game, as I said, he's playing Ornn. Licorice had Gangplank. Last pick had the counter pick into him. Nisqy played TF in game one as well. Svenskeren was on the Graves last game. Blabber was on the Lee Sin, so they just switch those picks around. I don't think Hooney's better than Someday. I'm not going to go that far, personally. So in this comp, you've got Cassio. You've got Caitlyn for bot lane prio. So EG should have lots of bot lane prio. Okay, there's something to talk about here already. So as a team, this is a really good 5v5. Really, really good 5v5. Have I seen Peter Dunn's analyst challenge on Twitter like just now? I haven't seen anything like that. It's also not related to this game, so I'm not going to get into it. Really good 5v5 comp. Mid and bot should be winning their lanes. I mean, Cassio has this classic thing where she has to she usually dumps all her mana early, goes for like a cheater recall early, something like that. But should be able to get a fair amount of lane prio, I think. I'm not really sure how the Cassio TF matchup plays out over time. And Gangplank's going to have push over Ornn early, I think, but then he should be able to just kind of tank it out. Be okay with it a little later. So I would have expected Svenskeren to start topside. I guess Lee Sin doesn't love starting blue, I suppose. I don't really play Lee Sin, so I'm not super sure of that. But I would have figured he'd path from weak side to strong side, since this is going to be shoved in early and this will be shoving out. I would have thought he'd start top side and path to bottom side. Maybe he's starting red and then he's going to do top and then come back bot and work with this prio and go for bot scuttle. But I would have expected him to play for bot scuttle crab. Hooney's just going to be soaking up this lane pressure early. Just CSing. Making sure he doesn't... I don't think there's a whole lot of dive threat. They would definitely need Nisqy to roam up. He's playing a spellbook. They would definitely need Nisqy to roam up if they wanted to dive Hooney, and Licorice isn't prepping Hooney's health bar at all, so a little bit. Actually, yeah, he's got him down almost to half. So C9 might want to dive Hooney. He does have to at least have some info about whether that's going to happen. So Svenskeren does go red to full clear top, and now he's going back to bot scuttle. Okay. So, he definitely wanted to be working for bot scuttle with the bot lane prio. Golden Glue is not just dumping all his mana. I guess he didn't want to give Nisqy that free roam timer, probably. So Svenskeren's getting bot scuttle. Hooney is just catching this. Licorice goes for the early recall for the cull. So yeah, they definitely didn't want to try to dive Huni here. They just figured, we'll just shove in. On the Cloud9 side, their win conditions, they're really good if they set up first, and then Niski's the one kind of playing the map, shoving side lanes, using his ult and TP when he has it to flank for fights. But they want Gangplank, Graves, Kalista to be set up first, land a hook. There's some pick comp elements to this. A lot of physical damage, which means Orange should be able to stack armor pretty well. So what are the win conditions for Cloud9? I mean, I think it's mostly on the Twisted Fate to create action around the map. So I'm not too concerned about what's going on here. Azazel getting chunked pretty low. I've just been watching the minimap. I don't know if he ate a hook there or something. I think he did. Yeah, I'd spend the majority of my VOD review time staring at the minimap, as I'm sure many people do. But I end up often like looking up and like, oh, Azazel's health is half. And it just happened here and I didn't see how. Okay, takes another hook. It's not great, but you're going to take some. You're going to get caught now and then. So Huni is, I really wish I knew the top lane wave. So just I mentioned this before off the start of the stream. I'm going to try to stay focused on the VOD, what's actually happening in this game and talking about Huni, because that's what I'm doing this for. So I'm going to avoid talking about other questions of the topics. Sorry. All right, so Huni uses his TP. He's starting with that armor stacking early. It's a good buy. And you recalled and TP'd for the health there, I guess. So first dragon is up. EG could play for the first dragon, and like they do have a comp like that is like whichever comp sets up first is probably a little better. Although EG have more ability to directly engage, like Ornn can engage, Lee Sin can sometimes find some engage angles, and C9 don't really have engage. Like they have Twisted Fate flank and Kalista ult, and that's pretty much it. So it is really good if EG get controlled. Like it's not really about getting the early dragons, it's about getting map control to set up the dragons first. And the more the dragons you have, the more important, like the more Cloud9 are forced to contest the dragons when you get first set up on them later. So it is important for them to get a first dragon here. It doesn't look okay. So they get the mid shove here. They don't have bot prio. Huni doesn't have TP, remember. So what Huni wants here, and again, this is a focus on Huni. He doesn't have his TP because he used it to come back to lane with his Bramble Vest. So Licorice does have TP and Gangplank ult. So Huni, in this window here, his goal is shove the wave as hard as he can so that if Licorice wants to TP for a dragon fight, then Huni is ready to punish on the tower because he can't match. So that's why he's putting a lot of lane pressure on here, so he's doing the right thing. Team fight happens. And this is like kind of a 4.5 v5 because of the Gangplank ult. What are EG doing here? They're coming in. They've got... Thanks for turning off the Fog of War. Or turning on the Fog of War there, guys. Gotta back up a little more. So Bang is the only one in bot lane. The other three are approaching from mid lane where they have prio. That puts Bang in a really awkward position, especially with a Blitzcrank to worry about and no vision. So this is a pretty bad team fight approach from Evil Geniuses. Bang needs to be with this group. I think... How could they have done this? So if Golden Glue shoves this on his own and these two guys are coming to approach through Tribrush with Bang and they face check Tribrush together, then if a blitz hook happens, then they can contest it maybe. I think they might be worried about Golden Glue getting caught rotating through the jungle to join them. But I think like they want to link up as 4 somehow. Could they give up the bot shove and have Bang just approach through red buff? Like maybe maybe that's what should have happened here is Bang should have come through jungle instead of thinking about this wave. Because the wave is neutral, and if they approach down like this, then who cares if you lose a wave here as long as you approach the team fight better. I think that's a better trade-off. Like, you do care about this wave. But I think EG are trying to set this up a little too early. I think they needed to prep both their waves and then make the actual approach to Dragon. So one way or another, they needed to link up better coming into this. But now they think, okay, we can get the jump on this quickly. Now, like, Bang is a little bit out of position. But anyways, the engage comes in, like C9 jump into that gap that they see with Bang not in position. Nisqy right away TF ults, and they just... Oh, nice hook on Svenskeren too. After he had flashed out. So anyways, Cloud9 win that team fight. That has nothing to do with Huni. Huni was doing the right thing during all that. That's the point here. Which is pretty much nothing. Like, he shoved. And it doesn't really mean anything. But EG lose that. This is almost... Okay, this is like a huge... This is 2,000 gold, right? Game's not over. But it's 75% over, maybe 80. This is huge. And has nothing to do with Huni. Svenskeren is in a horrible spot with how far behind he is. And it kind of came from just them approaching that dragon fight wrong and not having the map set up properly. And they should have had that set up properly because they should have had mid and bot lanes under control. I don't need to watch this again. They should have had mid and bot lanes under control, and they didn't have bot lane under control because Zeyzal had gotten chunked out so much. I wasn't watching bot lane super closely, but I'm pretty sure that was kind of the consequence there, was them taking way too much damage while shoving. So I think Bang and Zeyzal are kind of like, if you're going to pin this, okay, and the 2k gold went away a little bit. There were some resources on the map they picked up, but if you want to pin this lost opportunity to be in control of the game on anybody, it's going to be Bang and Zeyzal's laning there. That's how I'm feeling about it at this point. But I think EG still scale fairly well. I think they probably have a little better scaling than Cloud9. They've got more range. So it's not lost yet, but the gold gap is a pretty big deal. So what's going on in lane, top lane here? So there's a blue buff handoff. Wait, no, there's not. What just happened here? Okay, coming out of the replay, I'm watching Golden Glue here. Golden Glue is walking upriver because he's got nothing else to do. Is Scuttle Crab up there? Graves and Gangplank are both physical damage into an Ornn. That's what I'm kind of concerned about. And the whole point is, like, EG should be able to set up the map first and force them to use their lack of engage. Force Cloud9's lack of engage to be a problem. I'm trying to figure out what Golden Glue is doing there. He shoved that with Huni walking back to lane. There was nothing really to do. I don't know. That was kind of weird. And now he's going to miss 1 or 2 CS here, I think. Maybe not. And they didn't even hand off the blue in the meantime. Now Nisqy gets this fat roam timer. Okay, what's going on? Okay, let's watch this. So Scuttle Crab is up. I think if I back up a little bit here, right coming out of the replay. Right here. Okay, Scuttle Crab is up. I guess Golden Glue, they might not have info on this, but they should know that the blue timers are... I assume they knew the blue timers are synced. And, like, Scuttle Crab is a little objective to play for. Golden Glue's not going to take it himself, is he? Or try to. He would have to dump a lot of mana for that. I don't think it's... Did he get it all on his own? Why didn't Svenskeren, like, leave Svenskeren to get it if you know that they're handing off their blue? And you do not want to give any lane prio to Twisted Fate. And right here, by going for... Yeah, by soloing that crab himself, it wasn't that much money he spent. But by soloing that crab himself, he gave Twisted Fate free lane prio. He should have just hung out in lane there. I know it probably would have felt bad to stand around for 10 seconds, but... But they've got a, you know, they're trying to set up a strong side situation, which requires mid prio. But they've got their jungler there. Now they're doing a blue handoff. Nisqy's going to get another walk up off of this wave push. I'm just trying to figure out what EG's plan in this phase of the game is right now, because they're not... Like, what their plan should be is Golden Glue should be pinning down Nisqy to avoid him getting out of lane. And that should be playing for Herald. But Svenskeren, and I think if Golden Glue had hung around for one more wave and then linked up with Svenskeren to take that crab, maybe they thought that Blabber was going to be taking that crab with this push coming out, and they wouldn't be handing off blue. But I don't know. I'm not really sure. I assume they had something they were planning there a little more clearly that I'm just not quite seeing, but it seemed a little weird because now Golden Glue has given up Prio here, and Licorice was already getting a slow push into Huni. So now they've got top and mid pushed. They've got their support roam, and Zeyzal has not roamed. I'm not going to go back and rewatch the way bot lane played out to find out why Zeyzal didn't move or whether he could have. But no, this is a free Herald for Cloud9, despite taking that crab, which meant nothing. So something about what Golden Glue and Svenskeren did there obviously didn't achieve something useful. And now a Niski TF ult, Vulcan Flash, Golden Glue gets picked off. The Twisted Fate is very, very happy here. Now, once his next timer comes up, it's going to be that much easier for him to get continued mid prio, make a play into top, whatever. Yeah, in theory, Huni should be able to stack armor here, but the more fed the TF gets, the more magic resist becomes somewhat relevant. And look at this. Look at that wave. So here's the kill. It's like a double wave with cannon. And they're Huni's starting to get his own push out top side. It's just naturally how the wave is going to go. Okay, it's got a reset on the wave. And bot side is pulled in, not pushed for EG. Yeah, exactly. Huni has just played this completely normally. Why doesn't he freeze? Freeze where? Where could he freeze? Here? They have 0 lanes of prio for one thing. He could freeze here. He might be able to get a little freeze there. He might think Licorice has a free reset there. Yeah, that's a good point of him having. Did he have? I can't see his items. Yeah, he has bombies. So if he walked up to hold these minions away from tower, they're just naturally going to die to bombies probably. So that's the good practical point from Zerskix. And someone who knows the very fine details of the minion waves, saying they need 4 minions, not 3. So you couldn't freeze there even. But even conceptually, if he could have there, I'm not sure it's a big deal. Because eventually it's going to get broken. Oh, here comes the all-in. Is he going to get it? I don't think so. This might get the flash. Oh, he got the flash. Hey, look at that. Huni 1v1's Licorice and gets his flash. And he gets a plate. Look at this. Huni is actually playing really well. He gets the second plate. And now here comes Svenskeren, who's like, oh, there's an opportunity. Meanwhile, Blabber has gone mid. They put Herald down for those plates. Golden Glue still has no prio. Licorice did not get dove because they could have gotten countered on there, I think. Doesn't really matter. I don't think Huni wanted to try a dive there. He's so low and he has no mana. So I think, yeah, Svenskeren wasn't coming to dive. He was coming to just cover that, I assume. Anyways, yeah, him going top, I think this is Svenskeren here going top is because he thought, no, they knew Blabber was mid. Didn't they? So he's going top here already. And they are pinging Blabber, so they knew he's bot. So I think Svenskeren might have been thinking he could dive because Licorice is so low. And at least he can okay, he doesn't want to check Krugs. He's not confident enough in that. I don't know. I think it was fine. Yeah. TF didn't have ult, but was leaning a little maybe. So I think it was fine what Svenskeren was doing there. But Licorice was going to be okay. TF was leaning, and I think they might have been guessing a little bit about Blabber, but I'm not sure. And it's not worth completely breaking that down. But yeah, if there was suspicion from EG that Nisqy might be able to come and or Blabber might be able to come, then Svenskeren leaning top to cover Huni, since Huni was so low from shoving that in and taking a turret shot while chunking Licorice, then him covering Huni there was fine. But Huni was low enough that he wasn't going to be able to support Svenskeren invading Krugs. So Svenskeren just covered that and then said, okay, now we're good. Huni's out. Let's farm this out here. Now this TP from Huni, I'm not sure how I feel about that. My posture's fine, Adele. It's just fine. Actually, I have one leg crossed. It's actually really not good, but thanks for checking. So this TP with Dragon coming up in 45 seconds, I don't feel good about this one. I guess Huni's thinking we can give away this Drake and I'll take tower for it. Would they be able to contest the Dragon even if he had his TP? I think that's the question. Golden Glue is resetting. So right here, Golden Glue hasn't shopped. So I think Golden Glue is probably saying, I need to reset. And they don't have bot prio, and Svenskeren's on top side, heading bot probably. And so I think the team call was, we can't fight this Dragon even with a TP. So they just say, give it up, let's all buy. So Huni TPs for tempo. And yeah. I don't know anything about what Huni is doing right now, where he might be playing or practicing or whatever. I have no information. So Zeyzal says, no, we are fighting this. And Svenskeren says, yeah, I'm in. Like, what? Like, everything about that said, no, we're giving this Dragon up, we'll fight for the next one. You know, it's fine. And then Zeyzal goes in to face check his own jungle, sees somebody, goes in on a hook, Svenskeren follows it up. They're like, yeah, we got this. I mean, they're even at a worse, I would say they're at a worse power spike right now. Because even, like, going into this, like, items are even on the jungle, but Blabber's a level up. TF is a level up, you know, and he's got a stacking Rod of Ages, but they're both having stacking items, and TF has boots, and he's TF. He's just stronger at this point than Cassio. They have no bot prio, right? They have no mid or bot prio here. I guess Bang is rotating ahead of Zen, so maybe that's what they're like, oh, look, we might be able to outnumber them here, but they know Cassio's not close enough to join, so that's a moot point. This is just like, yeah. They're so far behind. They made the right call as a team, it seemed like, and then they just go in and throw this away. So, I mean, overall, the main point, and this is the consistent point throughout reviewing late 2020 EG games, Huni doesn't do anything wrong, and the team just does really bad calls, and they're not, I don't know if they're not talking to each other at all, or if somebody forgets what they said, or, you know, and it's pretty much everybody, honestly, except for, well, not really Bang. I'd say Huni and Bang don't really aren't the ones making these mistakes, really. It's more the other three. But now this game is pretty much completely out of reach. Like, even if Caitlyn was at a better spike than Kalista there, you know, she actually has to reach the fight. And I think the rest of it outweighs. So I don't think the rest of this game matters a whole lot. But look, Huni did his job. He got 4 plates. He kept the gangplank in lane, which, I mean, he kind of wants to be anyway, so that's not a big deal. And yeah, like, I think the thing is, so Dan's saying if you pick Caitlyn and Thresh and you give out the first 2 dragons, then you need to rethink your draft. Sure. But the point, like, they screwed up. The bot lane screwed up to lose the first dragon. At that point, you then look at what is the map setup going to the second dragon, and we saw the map setup was really bad, and you go, okay, if we're going to try to fight for this dragon, we're going to lose it, so we might as well trade that dragon for something, and scale, because we do have scaling. And then they just like made a mixed call. So like overall, you could very much simplify it and say giving up the 2 dragons is bad for this comp, and it is. Like, it's better to take those dragons, and you had the tools to do it, but they didn't do it properly. So then you adjust within the game, and they tried to adjust within the game. I don't think they could have fought that second dragon given the map state at the time, given what mid lane was like, and that was the main thing. And given like where they were positioned and all of that, I really don't think they could have fought it. And regardless, even if they could have fought it, what they were doing with their mid lane recalls and their jungler positioning were saying, as a team, we are not going to fight it. And they made that call. And then the rest of the teammates didn't follow it. So, so something happens here in the top lane. So here, what Huni's doing, he is, again, he's got Sunfire Cape that he's naturally shoving, and I'm sure he'd like to finish this tower. So if he wants to shove this, but, I mean, look, the Cassio's farming outside the inner tower, so, you know, it's dangerous for him to shove here because Cassio can't join, and the Lee Sin isn't even close to joining. But what are his options? So lane is neutral here. Would have been if he hadn't engaged in this wave, but he kind of pulls this wave in, and his Sunfire Cape will be ticking on it. I'm not sure if maybe he could have gone for a reset there instead. But I think, no, I don't think Gangplank could have frozen on him there or anything. I would need somebody who knows certain things about this a little more than I do to understand if Huni could have set this up differently. But I think he also, yeah, and his read was actually pretty good that he could tank that long enough for his teammates to arrive. Yeah, no, I know Huni was shoving there intentionally, but the question is, could he have not shoved and just reset instead? Regardless, so C9 go after him. Svenskeren and Golden Glue respond. TF ult is down. Huni stalls really nicely. And then Svenskeren flashes in for nothing. And Golden Glue flashes in for a little bit. But not really anything. And EG lose it. But I mean, look how far behind they are, so. The game was lost far before that point. It doesn't really matter. But again, I don't think Huni did anything really wrong there. So, I don't know. Executionally, Svenskeren and Golden Glue achieved very little. I think they could have said, all right, we protected Huni, he didn't die, we're all out, let's go back and keep farming. Anyway, this game's over. I don't want to talk about the rest of this, it doesn't matter. I think like trying to nitpick whether Huni should have pushed that wave or just, walked out immediately and recalled off of it or whatever. I think the game is over before any of that happens, and he's in a horrible spot on the map because of the situation in mid lane and the gold differences at different places and all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of irrelevant. I'll just I don't usually like to literally jump out of the game when it's over. I'll just fast forward through the rest, but it's over. And again, I don't think Huni did anything wrong this game, and he didn't really have an opportunity to do anything quote unquote right. So yeah, if the next wave off of that was was a cannon wave, then that also makes sense on that. Does EG scale better here? Arguably. Depends on the map state at the time, I think. All right, they get a random kill. Wasn't really looking. Cloud9 are trolling a little there, but it doesn't really matter. Cloud9 were going for like the complete kill move. Didn't quite work. Like, I think Cloud9 do want to win faster here if they can. Like, wait a second. Hold on. Bot inhib is dead. When did that happen? So Nisqy with the second Herald takes bot inhib. So I don't care that they lose a couple deaths in a dragon here. I mean, they didn't need to. But Cloud9 is just going for the kill move. Because I think they see the kind of the scaling situation and go, okay, the only way EG wins this game is if it stalls out to like 40 minutes. So let's not let it stall. Let's just like take a bit of a risk and try to end it. Golden Glue's trying to clear it, but he's rushing for dragon. And the minions finish the inhib, which was just about gone anyways. That's funny. So yeah, Cloud9 lose a couple kills there, but they got bot inhib and top tower in exchange for EG getting a Dragon 1. So you can say that he's letting the inhib die so that he can farm super minions, but I don't like that call at all personally, because then you've got, like, dragons are a win condition for Cloud9. And you're giving away map control for the next 5 minutes on a team with fewer globals than the other team. So I've never really liked the idea of, you know, oh, but it's actually sometimes good to have your inhib dead so you can farm the super minions and get more gold. Like, man, the tempo you give up to get that gold is just horrible. Yeah. Also giving up bot pro, yeah, is very influential on Baron control. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Nah. It'd take you like 30 years to kill a super minion pre 20 minutes. If they aren't diving you cross map because of the super minion pressure, then maybe it's good. But they should be. Oh boy. Baron throw? So Svenskeren insects Vulcan and dies for it. Sven uses Callista to secure Baron. Oh. Wow. Gross. Don't worry, guys. Licorice's Baron buff. Look at the scorelines. Huni is 3-0-4 in this game. That was Cloud9 were trying pretty hard to throw there. But like with this lead and advantage and the map state in what you've got going on in bot lane and Cassio having to run up, like I totally understand why they went for this. I think the fight should have gone a little better for them. But yeah, against this Fed Ornn and having a Cassio in there and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I understand why they went for it. Again, Cloud9 are trying to close faster rather than letting it stall out. I don't think they needed to rush that hard, but I understand why. Like, I don't have a problem with the overall call to go for Baron there. I think maybe they could have... And again, like also you're probably gonna feel pretty comfortable finishing it because your jungler is up in levels and you've got Callista. So it went about the worst it could go for Cloud9, and it wasn't that bad. They got Sven. And Inhib is back up, and Dragon's about to be back up. Niski just goes mid for the prio. I don't know if Cloud9 can get this Dragon now. I don't know what's going on in this game. Like, it's still, on paper, it's still over in Cloud9's favor, but it's getting worse. And this is like because Cloud9 have made 2 calls that were intended to close the game faster and take some risk, and they've both gone, you know, kind of as bad as they could have, which was in both cases they went slightly above even instead of being clear wins. And in this one, then this fight here actually just went bad for Cloud9, so gave EG some good stalling tools. And actually, I wasn't watching super close to how this fight started. I'm guessing this is a Huni, just a straight up Huni engage. Look at that. 3-man ult. Just completely forces it. And then Vulcan hooks in the Lee Sin. Golden Glue flashes in. So Huni actually played that fight well. And he's fed, so he's able to. So who has been the good player for EG? I'd say Bang has done fine. I'd say you can argue about that Dragon approach early on, where Bang was isolated from the other 3, but the team just clearly wasn't talking to each other about what they wanted there. That's not an individual where I'd say like one person went to the wrong place, unless they had said this is what we're doing, and then they didn't do it, right? But I think Huni and Bang have both been fine. The other 3 have had kind of a mix, but not great. Golden Glue's been pretty bad, honestly. Unfortunately, in this one. Yeah, so like it's definitely the EG like comms and team strategy and like what are we trying to achieve in this moment? What are we setting up for? How are we approaching it? All that kind of stuff from EG has been really bad, which is the consistent theme I've been seeing watching these games. They just don't have a plan, or they're not telling, they have multiple plans and they're not talking to each other about actually picking one. And I have no idea who is supposed to be responsible for that, so I mean, it's a team effort, but was there one person who's supposed to be kind of taking charge of that? I don't know. So EG are 5-manning mid while getting 1-3-1'd. They engage, get mid outer, but they're losing pushes to Inhib on both sides. And there's no Dragon to take out of this. Like, there's no neutral objective to benefit from doing this. So they ARAMing 5 up mid like that is a good call if you can force the mid prio and then rotate into river and control a neutral objective, and that's your win condition, all that kind of stuff. There is no neutral objective here. They're against a 1-3-1 comp that can punish them. They didn't get punished very hard, but they traded towers. I'd say that's a relatively even trade of towers. Getting mid outer, but they got an inhib turret. Like, maybe that's a bit of a loss, but you had to get that mid outer at some point. But like, I don't know. I don't think EG needed to force that. I think they could have farmed for a few minutes. They had no neutrals to lose on the map. The worst they're going to lose is some of their jungle camps, and they're getting time off of that. So I don't think they needed to 5-man the tower there. So for anybody who hasn't been following along the past 20 minutes, Huni has done nothing wrong, and EG are bad. Huni has done some good things. Teamfight engages and so on. The best call there, yeah, would just be catching your waves in all 3 lanes. Thinking about what is the next neutral coming up, which is Baron in this case, because it's up in 5 seconds now. And then setting up probably Huni bot, 3 mid, and 1 person catching top, and then joining with the mid, and then deciding what's your approach to Baron. Probably pushing out mid as a 4-man, and then walking through river and clearing vision that way and so on. Interestingly, in most of the games that I've been watching of EG, I've thought that their drafts put them in some really awkward positions in most games. I think this game is pretty good. I think this game gave them a clear identity and some tools to achieve that identity and so on. But that has not been typically the case with their comps in most of their games, I thought. So EG, I think, again, are making the right conceptual call here, 5-manning Baron, because they do have some ability to win 5v5s, and that's what their comp is for, and what they don't want C9 to set up first on an objective. Like if they have these 4 at the objective and then TF can flank with his ult, that's how Cloud9 want to do fights. So if EG are first at the objective, at least then they deny Cloud9's favorable setup, and EG can turn with an Ornn ult. But Nisqy is going to flank here. He chunks Svenskeren really hard. Is he just going to kill him? Huni's tanking everybody. Zeyzal goes in 2. Okay. Huni's doing a good job there, but there's just no damage. What are Bang and Golden Glue doing? So Golden Glue's ult I don't think stunned anybody, but he can just do it for the damage. I think that's fine. Svenskeren peeled Nisqy, but didn't have any follow-up engage. Maybe he could have... maybe he could have been part of that kind of combo of Ornn into Thresh into Lee Sin. Maybe that would have secured a kill, but... again, Cloud9 are so far ahead here in gold, in items, that it's pretty hard. Is there a little more of an opportunity here? Maybe. So they blew a lot into Blabber, but he backed out. Now they can't finish him. Now all the damage they put out doesn't really achieve quite what they wanted. So they can't finish him. They can't finish Sven without Nisqy just walking in on the flank. Yeah, I don't know. It was a difficult team fight. I think they needed... I'm not sure how they would have won that one. I'm not going to watch any of the games of Huni on Dignitas. I think that part of his year was definitely a write-off. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how you would have won this fight. Maybe turn on the Twisted Fate. If you all waited for the Twisted Fate ult to come up and then all kite towards him immediately and try to flash on him and blow him up, and then you're going away from Gangplank's ability to get barrels out, and Graves doesn't have a lot of range, Kalista doesn't have a lot of range to catch up to you, I think that's probably the call. I think right here you want to... Okay, you're eating GPL, that's a lot of damage. Right here, don't go up this choke, go upriver into Twisted Fate. I think that's the play. But it's very difficult from the kind of deficit they were in going into this fight already. Huni, also, I'm not going to be reviewing for the purposes of this content, Huni's time in Academy, because I think that was also a bit of a write-off. And I do think time in Academy is relevant, and I think it matters, but I think a couple things. One is your time in Academy doesn't necessarily dictate, especially if you're a veteran who's been in LCS before, like it doesn't necessarily dictate how you're going to play in LCS. You know, I was really, really low on Dardoch coming out of his time in Academy, but he was okay, I thought. Like, he was fine. And part of the reason for that, I think, depends on your personality and your playstyle. When you are a player... Oh, Svenskeren gets hooked. Is he just dead? When you're the kind of player who likes to be aggressive and make plays and pull triggers like both Dardoch and Huni do, I think Academy is a little harder to look good in, because your teammates... That was a nice play by Vulcan. I don't think your teammates are typically as ready to follow up on you. They're just not as structured, just obviously not quite as good players on average. So it's easier for a trigger pulling kind of a player to look bad in Academy than it is for a more standard or like balanced player. So I think, again, both Dardoch and Huni are those kinds of players who can go down to Academy. Damonte was a little bit like this too, where he didn't look quite as good in Academy as I thought he could have, or maybe should have, on his overall quality. And so I think the Academy time is a bit of a write-off for Huni as well. So I'm reviewing just his late season EG stuff, because I thought that's where actually it mattered. That kind of stuff, and also just mentality wise, I agree. I don't think Huni cared really about how he performed in Academy. So I think those things, like, they aren't literally meaningless, but I think they weren't that useful. So overall takeaways from that game, that had very little for me. There weren't any like moments in that game where I want to take the clip of it and say, here's what Huni did, and you know what should have happened, or this was a good player, this was a bad player, whatever. There's nothing in that one. It was kind of a nothing game. He had like a kind of a normal good Ornn engage. He was working his waves kind of the way I think he should have. He seemed like he was working to the team's calls, but the team's calls weren't good. I don't know. I got nothing to take away from that game, except that Huni was fine. He didn't do anything wrong. So the next game of the series. So this is game 3. So they second rotation Rumble, ban the Jace, get picked Ornn into it. Let's see if we have any moments from this game that are worth commenting on. What are we going to get? Look at him. He's looking so frustrated. Poor guy. Svenskeren chill. He's drinking. Was that a laugh? Might have been a laugh. You should take this seriously, like Huni, who is upset and doesn't laugh after a loss. I'm trolling, by the way. So in this, so he's Rumble, they've got Lucian, they've got Senna, Nautilus, so they want to play through... I mean, mostly they want to play through the solo lanes. I don't know of any places to get jungle proximity data publicly, but I also don't use jungle proximity. If I had access to it, I don't think I'd use it in any of my analysis personally. It's a complicated discussion that I don't feel like having at the moment, sorry. I think Rumble should shove on Ornn fairly reliably. So Svenskeren's pathing bot to top. Maybe he's doing the same path as last game, where he's going to do red into top side into bot crab, but I don't think Senna and Nautilus are going to get the same bot prio. Lucian, I think, will be able to bully his lane just a little. Really strong mid-game team fighting for EG. I mean, Rumble's always like that. I think Lucian is like that too on 1-2 items. Nautilus can always engage. Rumble can engage. Lee Sin's pretty good early on. C9 have more of the scaling here and the straight up 5v5 power, I would say, as the items come in, but depends a little bit on who gets the engage and stuff like that. Ornn can't, armor stack like Huni could last game. He's got to build magic resist in lane and then deal with 380 threats later. So it's building is definitely item building is a lot harder for Licorice this game than it was for Huni. So Huni is shoved in with a jungle path that went bot to top to bot. So he's really vulnerable here, but he's Rumble. He's going to shove. I don't think Rumble can really pull his lane in. I'm not sure. Maybe he can, but I don't think so. But it doesn't really matter. Like, he could have been punished here, maybe. If Blabber had pathed to gank top. Oh, Svenskeren's back to top grab. Wait, what? Red to blue to Gromp to Wolves to Raptors to top crab. So I don't know why Svenskeren didn't do a path that just more naturally took him to top crab. Like, he was heading back for bot crab, but I don't understand that path. Yeah, like, he saw Graves bot, and he should know that the bot lane is going to be pushed in against his team. He should know, oh, my top lane's going to have prio, my bot lane's not going to have prio, and mid could go kind of either way. Well, I mean, can't he do like red Krug's topside crab, something like that? Like, I don't know, I'm sure there is a path that starts bot and ends top on crab naturally. I'm sure there is. There has to be. So anyways, I mean, not a huge deal. He just wasted a little bit of time, but like, he should have been on these Krugs sooner. If he was on them sooner, then maybe Blabber couldn't have defended them. I don't know. This is only relevant in that it might affect how well Huni and Svenskeren were playing together. And I don't think they were going to get a dive off on the Ornn anyways, but they could have gotten a Krug steal and like been kind of splitting the map that way in a sense. I don't know, I feel really awkward about that path. I mean, now he's invading Raptors. with top and mid prio, but no vision. Did they see Graves go over that? They've got to see him right here, right? Now Huni's doomed. I assume he dies here. Why are we watching bot lane? I guess that's why. No. Meanwhile. Oh. Huni doesn't die. Are we going to get a replay of that? Oh, does he? What is going on? Somebody die. Okay. So Huni gets first blood. What I want to look at is right here. After this happens and they both kind of meet up at Krugs, now Huni says, okay, I'm going to keep shoving. I'm Rumble. I keep shoving. I've got my jungler here. I'm in good position. Their mid has just recalled. We've got mid prio, so like we know that TF has to catch mid here. He can't TP up to help. If you're coming, okay, so apparently if you hug, I didn't know for sure which. I know that sometimes you can get around the shrine coming out of Herald Pit, but I didn't know exactly where. So apparently if he's coming out the top side of it, he could have avoided vision. But anyways, so here, knowing that Huni wants to keep shoving and Svenskeren top side, I guess invading Raptors kind of makes sense. And they probably didn't think Blabber could get around their vision. Maybe there's an opportunity for Golden Glue. No, he's out of mana. Like, he can't even lean topside for a dive here. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think Huni had much of an option. Maybe he should have just reset after that Krug meetup. This is a little bit beyond my depth, but I'm not sure which wave this is. So they're on cannon waves right now. So I think maybe he wants to crash the cannon wave to give himself the reset right here. So right now he's clearing the cannon. Maybe. And now he's like, around now I would have thought he'd be looking to back off and reset, but it doesn't look like he is. So maybe I'm just reading this wrong. Maybe he thought maybe he's close to 6 and he thinks he can solo kill Licorice or something like that. Or maybe he just thought if Graves ganks me, Lee Sin can come and help and I can live long. Like maybe he knew exactly how he thought this 2v2 would play out, given the amount of time it would take for Svenskeren to arrive. So I am high on TSM and like top 3 team. I'm not sure if I have them higher than 3rd, but and part of the reason for that is that I have a much higher opinion of Huni than most people do, and that's part of why I'm watching these VODs to kind of validate how I feel and be more clear on that. So anyways, this worked out really, really well for Huni. I'm not entirely sure if it should have. So I don't want to go too far on like, hey, look how great this was and what Huni did, because I'm not sure him. Okay, now we can see the wave. So he couldn't, once these waves had arrived behind the cannon wave, he couldn't have just like left 5 seconds ago, because then he's setting up for a freeze. Like then I'm quite sure he can get frozen on here. And then he's in a really bad spot. And for being the lane that's supposed to have prio, I don't think he can afford to get frozen on. Not that being frozen on is ever good. But yeah. So I don't know. I don't think he could have. I think maybe he could have set that up a little differently, but I'm not really sure. I'm not going to chalk this whole thing up as a big win for Huni. But again, you have to recognize that I think I wasn't happy about the way Svenskeren approached that top crab into Krug situation in the first place. And maybe if Svenskeren approached that a little more cleanly, then the entire sequence there plays out much more normally with Huni crashing that wave, getting his reset off, and none of that fight ever happens. So he has not mostly been playing Ornn and Rumble in the games I've watched. He's been playing Hecarim. He's been playing, what else? I'd have to check my notes, but there have been other games. Okay, potential TP opportunity here maybe. So he's walking back to lane. I wish I knew the top lane state here. Ornn doesn't have TP. And it isn't really shoved super hard against Huni, so I think like he doesn't have a ton to lose if he TPs, but he does have some. Dragon is up, so he'd kind of want to TP for Dragon. Like in a perfect world for Huni, here he wants to get the top wave cleared before he TPs, so that Licorice can't take plates. I don't think you TP out of base for this fight unless you really get forced into it. I think and he had plenty of time to walk out. So like 6 minutes is a pretty good dragon timer. So here he's got plenty of time to walk out before they have everything set up for their dragon. And you can see they're trying to set up for it. They want to, I assume they know that Niski's on this reset. So Golden Glue wants to get this wave shoved in, and then, somehow they're going to decide on their approach to this Dragon Pit control. By the time they're ready for that, Huni wants to have come up and cleared this wave and be ready for a good TP in case they need it. So that's what they're looking for. So let's see how it actually happens here. So Blabber's there early, Niski's on his way. Now here comes Golden Glue on his move. Niski jumps the play far before Golden Glue can arrive. And was that an engage from Vulcan? I was watching the minimap. No, that was a Niski play. So, nothing wrong with Huni's play there. I don't think TPing early, like TPing early from base, that's not the right call there. You're just giving up plates for free because Licorice isn't going to match. I think you play safe from the TF play there. Like they shouldn't have given up that TF play against them. Oh boy, what's going on? Now he TPs? Sorry, I got caught not watching while I was talking. I think the problem was, Bang getting caught and killed there. I don't think Huni should have played it differently. Now that they're in a 4v5, and again, Licorice has no TP, Huni goes for this and says, his TP end up here, into the jungle. This is a little weird, deciding to contest this instead of just giving it up. So Scaring kind of goes in, Huni lands a really good rumble ult, honestly. He kills Ven. Okay, I guess they figured we'll 4v4 it. So they're losing some in the top, but they get 3 kills in Dragon. So I actually thought that wasn't a great play conceptually, but as it turns out, they got a huge gain off that. They're not getting the Dragon, okay, so. But it was a big gold gain for the team. And Huni is very fed now. And he was on a cannon wave, so he loses 1 plate, but he still gets most. Okay, he missed the cannon. Oops. Okay, so that was, I don't know. I feel a little mixed about that play too. I think overall it was a positive. And if he last hits the cannon, then it's a massive win. But he didn't, unless I just saw it wrong. But I'm pretty sure he missed that cannon. So, anyways, yeah. But that TP and that team fight were really, really good from Huni. I'm not sure how, what should have happened here is Bang doesn't die, they get proper approach here, and then either C9 gives that dragon up, or Huni gets that same type of TP play, and they wipe them harder, they get the dragon too, and they get like a plate or two. So that play should have, what would have happened if, oh, this almost got interrupted, eh? Would have been okay if it got interrupted. Not a big deal. Well, not that good, I guess. Like, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. So. By the way, a lot of the time I think I should be doing this prep and thinking about making this video for Lost instead of Huni, because people also don't appreciate how good Lost is going to be. But we're talking about Huni. All right, Huni has his ult back. C9 are on. Yikes. Huh. So I'm just underrating what Huni's going to do. I wasn't looking at the overall map setup here. So EG have a much better map setup now. They've got prio, bot, and mid. They actually have bot prio for once. And also some mid prio. And and C9 have top prio, so they're thinking, but only a little bit. and Huni knows he's got plenty of time to rotate around for this. He's a little early, I think. But he's got Senna out behind him. He's got Svenskeren and Golden Glue coming. So he's only very slightly early on it. And he won. Like, he killed Blabber because Blabber is weak right now. And Rumble is pretty strong here, and he doesn't even have his first full item yet. So Huni did well there also. I think his read was really good to say, wave is even, and I'm pretty sure they're on Herald, and our plan is to go contest that Herald. So I'm just going to say, I don't need to clear this wave first and come in through river. What's the worst you're going to do is deny a few CS here, but I'm going to, if you do, then we win this fight and get the Herald for sure, because Ornn is stuck up here, not able to help. So I think Huni's, what? Okay. I get pulled out of what I'm talking about to see what's going on the map. Oh, Licorice has gone for a long run here. That's what happened. Okay. Anyway, so Licorice eventually dies. Huni gets to deny an entire wave or more. EG should have won game 1, by the way, the amount of control they had. And at this point, they're looking like they're on the way to should have winning game 3 as well. And this lead they have in game 3 is mostly because of Huni. Like Svenskeren has a good scoreline too. They won that dragon fight because of Huni's TP. Svenskeren like jumped into that and did some good stuff also, but he kind of like threw his body at it. It was fine. Like I shouldn't take away from Svenskeren in that fight, but it was the Huni TP and Rumble ult that really did it. By the way, if you guys, I'm glancing at the conversations that are going on in chat, and I appreciate you guys talking so much about it. And if you like those kinds of conversations, you should come and hang out in the Oracle's Elixir Discord, where we have those kinds of conversations a lot. So, all right, what's going on here? Just a 2v2 bot. So Huni has no TP, and the next thing that is happening in this game is the dragon. So Huni is shoving top and then walking down towards the dragon setup here. EG have mid prio. They're fighting for bot prio. So right here, Huni is starting to walk. I don't think they need... I guess Zeyzal and Bang see an opportunity here. And they've got, you know... Sen and Nautilus do have some opportunity to go for kills. But I think, like, they don't need to go for a big fight here, but it's part of their bot prio, so it's fine. The fact that they lost the 2v2 is an issue. And you're playing against a fed Kalista, so I don't think you should have leaned into that so hard. Meanwhile... Huni has walked mid because if this fight doesn't happen, now you have, again, Licorice still has no TP, or again has no TP, I guess. I can't remember exactly the flow of time here. But he's got a wave state that lets him roam. And if these 4 all collapse on the dragon, and then there's a contest here, now Huni is mid to make sure that mid prio gets sustained on the next wave if necessary, and he can then join in that fight if and as it happens. Since that doesn't happen and things go a little weird in the bot side of it, now Huni is not going on the wave. He's adapting his path to go through the jungle. He sees an opportunity to go after Niski, who has flash, so like this shouldn't be an easy kill or anything. But Niski just walks on the Rumble ult, and Huni flashes on him and kills him. They're going to get Blabber too. Oh, not quite. Still, oh, Svenskeren wants to go. He's like, oh, I got another one. We got to get 2 kills in this play. It's really important for us to get 2 kills. There, we got, not the one I thought I was going to get. The third target I went for is the one. Okay, what? Okay. I don't know what's going on here. But Svenskeren is also, like, to be fair, he's pretty fed here. He's got his completed jungle item. He's level 7. So I thought this was a really bad play from Svenskeren, but it worked out. Blabber just flashes in and dies. I thought Svenskeren should have died there, but he gets a double kill. So credit to him. Good job. If I'm going to say that the earlier 2v2 top, Huni gets credit for when I thought it was a bad situation, although... I didn't think the actual map set up for that one. Anyways. Yeah. So EG are now up 3k. They use the Herald for plates with nobody around. Is it expiring? Yep. So I think it's expiring here. but he didn't tell anybody it was expiring or something, and they recalled. I guess he gets all the gold from it. So whatever. So anyways, 3K, 3,500, almost 3,500 up for EG, plus they have a dragon. And this is the phase of the game that they're about to enter. Huni's got a full item. Golden Glue's got a full item. They should be really strong here. And the next thing to play for is maybe Second Herald, but there's not a lot to play for right now. I think it's going to be a little while for Second Herald, like 2 or 3 more minutes. But they're just playing for the lanes right now. I guess some plates maybe. Don't need to watch that again. So just continue to play through mid and top, and bot continue to, you know, be taking some lane pressure here. Just try not to die to this 3-1 and 0 Kalista. They can play for a TP play from Huni again here if they think that they can just make a fight. They don't have like a TP into bot lane to catch these guys when they're extended is pretty classic, but they don't have a ward to do it onto. So like Zeyzal would have to get a ward in the bush maybe. But that's kind of playing for bot side, which is not really what they want. I think they want to be playing through Huni's lane prio. So Huni's pushing on this because he wants to set up for Svenskeren to come. Is he going to die here? Okay, so he dies here. Now the question is that his fault or the team's fault? So they've got mid. I can't see underneath all those question mark things. So mid is neutral. Svenskeren is on some top camps, and Svenskeren is going bot now. So conceptually, like I was just saying a minute ago, EG should be playing through Huni's lane prio right now. I think they should be playing mid into top. Lucian push, walk ahead of TF. TF can follow, so you have to go first. If they go for a play on bot, just try not to die. You make your play top. They can make their play bot. You just try to be faster than them, and you should have mid cleared before they do. So mid prio. Svenskeren is pathing bot because I guess he wants to farm his camps. Right here, in my opinion, the play is, well, so I guess either Svenskeren, oh, he's walking around this way. So he just wasted a few seconds the path he walked. Wait, what? I guess they're playing for mid tower because Huni started to lean down a little bit. Svenskeren walked around here to go mid. When I don't understand what they're doing, it doesn't necessarily mean they're doing the wrong thing. It might just mean that I have the wrong read. So I think Golden Glue and Svenskeren are playing for plates mid here. Golden Glue has shoved here. He used his Lucian ult to like secure that much more prio. He wants to get this plate mid. Svenskeren is coming out to support that push so they can't make a play on Golden Glue. Meanwhile, Huni is thinking, we're going to play through Rumble prio, which is what I wanted them to do. I wanted Lucian to clear this and walk top and hold his ult. Or at least neutralize this mid so that if TF makes a play, you can't break his ult or if he has TP. Yeah, this is actually pretty awkward for EG because they have to deal with the TF ult. And you can't just shove mid because TF might be okay with that. Ult top, get a 3v2 or 3v1 and get more top than you got mid. If they're playing for Lucian to chunk plates here, then the Rumble needs to have enough pressure to make it, you know, not free for them to respond, but stand back enough that he's safe here. So it's a bit of a puzzle to put together. Like, still naturally to me, the play feels like it should be Lucian and Lee Sin running up river as quickly as they can together and playing through Rumble's wave crash. But if that's not the call, then Huni needs to try to not push this so quick. So maybe the problem here is that Huni pushed it as quick as he did. Yeah, like, exactly. I think they're trying to make a play into top, but if they do that, does Lucian need to stay mid long enough to get this plate? Because then they're taking a long time to set this up, and Huni's got this wave shoved 20, 30 seconds before that play is ready. So here they are, like, Golden Glue's not moving. Okay, now he goes. But by now, like by the time Golden Glue starts to move, Svenskeren's already halfway there. Yeah, he kind of hovers there a little bit. They haven't seen Blabber yet. And Huni would be thinking, if they are trying to set up a dive top, Huni is thinking, let's trade health bars as much. If we're both at half health, that's good for us because we're trying to kill this guy. And if he's low, like, he's not the victim, so he's okay being low if the other guy's low. So opting into a big trade there is part of the plan that EG are trying to set up. But it turns out bad because Blabber ganks him and kills him. And Nisqy joins. And now they're going to lose 2, maybe 3 if Golden Glue still tries to clean up these low health guys. Okay. All right. That worked out also. Oh, no. Oh, no. That did not work out. So, like, overall, I think EG had a concept there they were going for. I think Golden Glue was slow to move. And he didn't even get that plate, by the way. He didn't even finish that plate. So, Huni's losing farm off this now, too. Like, I'm not quite able to talk my way through the nuances of this setup to the level that I want. The TF ult really makes it difficult for EG to make this play, I think. But I think they could have executed it better. I think it might be that Huni needed to push slower and not, not have to be contesting that wave in that position that he was in. It might be that Golden Glue and Svenskeren needed to move a lot earlier, maybe a full wave earlier. Like, maybe what the play should have been was here, right here. Go top right now. I guess they have vision that they didn't want to. I don't know if they know about those wards C9 have. But, like, rather than even contesting this wave, Svenskeren was already here. Golden Glue was already here. Maybe they just go here already. Like, this way. If they have to wait for this wave, so it would have been too soon. That wouldn't work. So, yeah, they needed to go on this wave to some extent. I think the Huni level takeaway you can bring away from all this is that there may have been an opportunity for him to execute this a little better, but it's really complicated, and I'm not sure there's a clear answer, and that you can say, like, Huni dying here was a massive mistake or anything like that. I don't think it was. I think you can see reasons why, if Svenskeren had landed that Q, maybe that whole thing goes different as well. Golden Glue dying there is tragic. But the kill he got on the arrival was good. And EG are still fine here. Even after all that, it went even. And they're still fine here. It does stall the game out a little bit, and I think that's better for C9. But I can't look at that overall sequence and say whether it's a positive or a negative or a neutral for Huni. Like, I don't think it's not a positive, I think. Well, you could argue it might be if he said, as long as I chunk these guys low enough, then when my teammates arrive, they can still win it. And he didn't chunk them super low, but he did a little bit. I think he was trying to set up the play overall. I don't think he clearly did anything wrong. I think he arguably maybe did something wrong. I don't know. I'm stuck on this one. So now you've got no Rumble ult. Dragon is coming. It'll be up in time for the Dragon. So are you still going to try to play mid to top as EG? Now you don't really want to anymore because now the Dragon timer is coming up. So now you want to play Rumble TP for a Dragon fight probably. Which means Huni wants to get his wave shoved out. He wants to have a safe spot to TP from with a time advantage over Licorice, where if Licorice TPs, he's going to lose some minions and he's going to arrive maybe a little later or something like that. Okay, they're going for Herald before Dragon. Okay, so Huni and Golden Glue have Prio. They get a free Herald. Now it's 15 seconds to Dragon. Can they also go for that? This is a mistake. That's a mistake right there. I can make a note of that one. Okay, I'm just making a note on the other screen here, so. So here, at what timestamp? About 15 minutes in. Let's see this again. So I don't think going for this Herald is a good play for the first thing. I think they should be worrying about dragons. I think they want a team fight to some extent. Well, yeah, I think they want a team fight in the mid game here. I think they want to force the other team to try to fight into them and blow them up because they've got a gold lead and they've got a comp that's better at team fighting right at this stage of the game. Arguably. But now that they're at the Herald, Huni wants to clear this ward. His team is leaving already, and this ward doesn't matter because the only thing this ward does is if he keeps shoving, it helps them to gank him more easily. So staying to clear this ward, I think, is just greedy. And it's a small mistake, but it's one that gets him killed and loses them this dragon most likely. Oh, maybe it doesn't. So they get mid-outer. But EG can't do dragon here. Oh, okay. He's up in 12. I guess he can TP for it. Okay, I have to pause this and finish writing my note out because I'm going to have to watch this closely. So he still has the opportunity to TP out for this dragon. What he is losing is that top lane prio that would have been a cleaner map set up for the dragon. So he's losing a bunch of farm top, and Licorice is chunking the tower. Maybe Licorice can take the entire tower there. But EG get the dragon because Cloud9 are afraid of the Rumble TP, I assume. Cloud9 just trade. Wish I could see the tower's health bar. I assume it's just, yeah, there it goes. Cloud9 take the tower and give up the dragon. This is another mistake, isn't it? And he's dead. Okay, so here, another Huni mistake. He doesn't have to walk up to this wave. It's not going to get like frozen on him or anything, clearly. Like, he might lose a few CS if he doesn't run up to that one as his... maybe it is going to get frozen on him. I gotta think about this. I can't really see it very well. So, Licorice has, like... Okay. No, it's not. So, I don't know what I'm thinking. It's getting a little late in the day for me. But he knows, like, he doesn't have any map control on this side. His team is on the other side. This wave is going to come into him at some point. Unless I'm just completely messing up my understanding here. This wave is going to come into him eventually. But he's going to have to wait a long time. Like, he has to wait for this whole next wave for that to arrive. Unless they push it all the way to him. And it's only like 3 CS anyways. And he's up against a TF. So this is a death that... a very avoidable death. But because of Cloud9's investment of 3 people into killing Huni, EG are able to safely take the bot outer and get some map control there. So it's not the most costly death. Definitely was a mistake, though. So what's up next? No neutrals for a while. Huni still has his TP, I think. And so does Licorice. TF Altus down for a bit. Maybe you think you have time. You hardly have any time before TF Altus is back to set up another play, so there's not really anything there. I think EG their lead is slipping away from them here because I think C9 does scale better longer into the game because they can 1-3-1, they can engage. They have lots of engage. Ornn, TF, Kalista Alt, Rakan. Here, speaking of engage. Bam. Easy. Maybe Bang could have flashed out of the initial part of that. Flash out of the Ornn ult and then he's alive. Even then he might die, but probably not. Yeah, see, You're saying Hooney is getting a big lead and then throwing it away. He's a little bit of mistakes there, but I don't think this is really entirely on him. I think EG made the wrong call to go for Harold there in the first place. I think they should have been on Dragon. Like this has been the worst game of the series from Hooney. But even then, like he got that lead in the first place, and he had put EG in a position to kind of be winning it. So. But yeah, like the fact that Hooney had the highest high of the series and of most of the games that I've watched so far, like he's had the highest highs and the lowest lows this game of kind of what I've watched. So the overall takeaway from this game is not Hooney is bad, but he's had the clearest mistakes that I've seen from watching him lately. Yeah, I think it's reasonable to say, and I agree that the playoffs were the best that Hooney looked all season. But I think also, again, I said earlier on, I think the dig games were a write-off in a lot of ways. Okay, what's going on here? And I think, you know, when you are moving up to a team starting roster halfway through the split, it's going to take time to find your footing with the team, especially for a player like Hooney, who is one that relies a lot on what the team is doing as a whole, and, you know, engaging stuff and pushing things and like trying to expose yourself on waves that you're supposed to expose yourself on because your team is supposed to be there with you, stuff like that. Like the way Hooney plays incorporates certain risks and things into them, and it's not like that's very different from saying he's like a coin flip player or anything like that. It's just like he doesn't play to keep himself safe all the time. He tries to play to win the game. Crashing waves and things like that. Like when you crash a wave, you're exposed. And as long as your team does it right with you, then you cover that exposure and you get the gain. Okay, here, what's the map set up? He's got 2 people in base. They have prio. I'm not sure about mid. I think mid is kind of even. But they have taken mid outer, so that kind of implies prio mid. He should be backing up through the lane after pushing here, waiting for his team to set up, and there's nothing to play for, so he doesn't really need the lane pressure here. And he gets baited by a control ward again. Yeah, this is another mistake. Svenskeren, nothing's an ult there. Golden Glued, nothing's an ult, I think, too. He's trying to zone out Sven. Okay, he goes on him. Yeah, okay. He makes sense, flash. There was a brief moment there where Golden Glue could have seen the flash and not ulted, I think. But I'm not sure of the animation time. Hooney getting lost and getting killed there does, like, now the game has completely swung against them. So that's another one. I wouldn't be surprised if he's also a little tilted, given that they should have won game 1 and that he was not the problem in game 2, and yet they lost both of those. And now he can feel it slipping away in game 3 after he did so well in the first 15 minutes, or maybe 10 to 12 minutes. He's probably a little tilted. Net effect, this definitely has been not a great game from Hooney. But I think his teammates needed to give him better to use the lead he had and the lead he had helped create to snowball this game, for what it's worth. Like, Hooney has nothing to do with Zeyzal dying 2v2 bot as part of a setup for an objective, stuff like that. 3 pretty clear mistakes and 1 arguable scenario earlier. Yeah, I definitely, like I'm saying, his last 3 deaths were definite mistakes. I think I've been calling that out pretty clearly as they happened. Death 2 was a little... Was Death 2 the getting picked off in top lane? getting picked off here. 1. Death 2 is the one clearing the control ward, right? Yeah. So clearing that control ward and getting picked, that was a mistake. Getting picked off here, approaching the wave was a mistake, and just now dying here. All 3 of those were unnecessary deaths. Where did Huni TP to here? So EG are setting up on Dragon. They still think maybe we can win if we stack Dragons. Huni is pushing out bot ahead of Dragon spawn instead of going top with his TP. That's a little questionable. Now EG are pushing aggressively into mid to contest this wave. As when he pushes out bot wave, Licorice goes for the Ornn ult engage, which is a nice easy engage. Zazel flashes out. Huni TPs to join here. Svenskeren goes in and gets instantly peeled by Vulcan. Who did he use his Lee Sin on ult on there? Still can't quite tell what he did with his ult. So he goes in here, and then somewhere in here he ults. I still don't know. What happened? It's like his ult didn't move anybody. Doesn't matter. He gets chunked. Does he have... okay. He's lifestealing up. They really need to get the dragon here. Okay, they get it. And Huni is in this front group. Now he's in the mid area. He's already used his ult, so there's not much he can do for the fight. Like, this fight is lost for EG. I think... oh, he ulted Graves against the wall. That's... okay, good call. I was just looking for somebody to go flying away. I figured at that point, I figured Svenskeren would want to, like, disengage with his ult. And so, like, wait, this was actually bad. So here, I think once they had dodged this engage, EG still have 2 ults down that were down anyways on Senna and Nautilus. They've just drawn out Ornn ult without anything. I think now they just back up. Like, I don't think Huni needs to TP here. I think EG back up as 4. Huni should not TP. He should let the wave crash and walk over. And they say, okay, don't play this fast. Play this slow. Their engage is gone. TF ult is coming back. Rakan can still engage, but like one of their engage tools is gone. Back up to Dragon and just control it. And then Huni will walk up and we can turn. Nautilus ult is almost back. We can engage with the hook. We can engage with Rumble ult. You know, we've got the superior position here. But Svenskeren, Huni TPs and Svenskeren plays it fast. I think both of those are mistakes. And the bigger one, Svenskeren's the bigger mistake though, because if Huni TPs, that just means he's there for the setup earlier. Like, that's not a problem. It's just a little bit of a waste. But I think the call was clearly, we're going to fight here, and that's probably why Huni TP'd, because, if we're going to fight here, I need to be there as soon as I can. So I think that's I don't know if, like, Zazel was calling for it, if Svenskeren was calling for it, or if Svenskeren just did it without saying anything, and, like, Huni just also wanted to go and fight, or knew they were going to fight, whatever. But I don't put that on Huni personally. But at that point, once they went in with that Lee Sin engage and Rumble ult and all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't going to work and it didn't work, then it's done. They got the dragon, but they lose people. So, you say the ult wasn't well placed? I don't think it could have been. I don't think there's anywhere good to place it, personally. I don't think you're going to win this fight no matter what. So here, I think you're thinking that you're going on the Graves probably. So maybe the ult could have angled up this way, but yeah, he missed the Graves a little bit, but I don't think you're going to kill the Graves no matter what. I don't think that ult placement affected anything. And I think it was, I don't know, it was kind of okay. It wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible to me. Yeah, like he didn't need to ult because that fight didn't need to happen. By the time the Lee Sin had gone in, I think the entire scenario was doomed for EG. They couldn't finish Sven off pretty much no matter what they did. unless like Golden Glue flashed in to get his stuff out too, but then he dies to the Rakan counter engage and the Callista and everything. Like, yeah. And now this thing is going to swing pretty hard the other way unless, like, you're not going to get, for one thing, it's Cloud Soul. So once they've gotten Ornn and Rakan ult out, they didn't get Rakan ult out. Rakan hadn't ulted by the time Svenskeren went in. And if Svenskeren gets out with 20% health there, then your dragon setup is doomed. Wait, they stole it? Lol. Alright, good play by Svenskeren. I think if your Lee Sin is 20% health with no ult and no flash, and they've still got Rakan ult to engage on you, I guess you're saying if the Rakan ulted to disengage the Lee Sin there. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. It might be kind of even. But like, I still think the overall best call for EG there was once they dodged the Ornn ult, they should all back up and group up on the dragon. There's no need for the Lee Sin to go in there. So, but I mean, I think it is debatable, and it's fair to debate whether they still could have had the upper hand in that scenario, based on like after the Lee Sin had gone in and then come out. Maybe they could have still had the upper hand there, depending on how the rest of it played out. I think, like, again, the point of all this water review is about how Huni was playing. I think the TP was a waste, but if you do think there was a fight there, then the TP wasn't a waste. He just dropped his ult for nothing. Also, I think EG can feel the scaling slipping away from them. So I think they're also trying to force stuff. They don't want to just like passively control a dragon and stack it. They want to get a dragon and a fight. So anyways, EG were gifted that Baron a little bit, so now they're in a good spot. They still have scaling going against them. And now there's going to be, okay, Niski is TF flanking. Ornn ult goes out onto Bang. Bang is alive, but barely. Zeyzal goes down. There goes basically the entire Baron power play. So, okay, we can see in the pip, there was a pip on Huni's Rumble ult. So he goes mid. Now I'm looking at the mini-map in a picture-in-picture. So Huni is walking mid. Svenskeren's in his own jungle. So he Rumble ults onto... That's Callista. Svenskeren's clearing one of his own jungle camps. So this team doesn't... Again, they are not agreed on what they're trying to achieve here. Svenskeren's farming and Huni's engaging mid. Now he doesn't have his Rumble ult for this very important fight. Was he clearing the wave with it as well, maybe? No, he wasn't. Huh. Sven Qs and goes on to the red just as the fight breaks out. Ugh. Yeah. So, to be clear, I think Huni ulting onto the Callista there achieved just about nothing and didn't make any sense if you were planning to 5-man a tower and like threaten a dive and all that kind of stuff, especially. But Svenskeren farming his own jungle at that time, if there was an opportunity to make a play on the mid lane group of the enemy team, and then going on the red buff as the fight was about to break out, like that's such greedy farming. So Svenskeren was a lot worse in the sequence than Huni was to me. But like that's not to say Huni did the right thing in that sequence. He shouldn't have spent his ult there. Especially knowing that Svenskeren wasn't with him, then he shouldn't spend it. Like, oh, my team didn't come with me to make this play, therefore we don't have a play, so therefore I shouldn't try it. So I think pretty much everything from like 12 minutes onwards has not really been good from Huni. It's been pretty bad. Or whenever that, shortly before the second death, whatever timer that was. How much longer is this game? Not much, 5 minutes, okay. Okay. Yeah, that engage mid from Huni was not a good engage. So what can they do? So now they're going to try to force a fight at Cloud Soul. They're not set up well to win this fight given the current scaling, I believe. Ornn has his Ornn upgrades in. He's given an upgrade to TF. The Callista is pretty strong, I think. The Graves is really strong. Now, what's the map set up here? Yeah, EG was definitely like... Overall, structurally, I think we can all agree EG was not a good team. Like, they didn't work well together, which always makes all the individual players within the team look worse. My argument is that more of the time, Huni was doing the right thing and his teammates were not, compared to what the rest of his teammates were doing. But that is not to say that, you can't give Huni a ton of credit for that, but I think you can give him some, and you can take the edge off of a lot of the criticisms. So the map setup here, Huni has walked. He doesn't have TP quite yet, and Licorice just TP'd for it after getting... Okay, top is shoved in. Yeah, so he pushed out top. He recalls. He TPs, so they're there in plenty of time. I also think, for what it's worth, Golden Glue has a really good scoreline in this game, but I think he was like average at best. He cleaned up a couple of skirmishes to get some of those kills, but I think he was slow moving to certain things and didn't set some stuff up very well. So Huni is still walking up from bot, so EG need to be careful not to let this fight start without him. Now TF is also being used. Huni is now kind of like, okay, how is EG backing out of mid here? No. Okay, so one thing, they want to be careful of Rakan and Ornn engages, so they don't want to cluster up too much. But this is not what they want to do. Two people walking down mid, one person this way, one person this way, while Rumble's not even there yet. What would be a better angle? I think they can be second into this, as long as they've got a little bit of vision. They don't have any blue trinkets, so it is tough if they're second on this. So I think Huni is saying we want to be positioned. I mean, I did say coming in this, I think it was really tough for EG to get a good setup regardless. So I think here they want to contest this wave. So they want to clear this wave and then move on to their dragon setup. I think if they all moved down this way, it would have been fine. I think Golden Glue should be able to dodge an Ornn ult if it happens. Zeyzal can flash it if he really needs to. Sven's-Aaron can flash it if he really needs to. But look, now they've just isolated themselves against a TF ult and an Ornn engage. Bang is dead. What's Huni supposed to do here? I mean, for one thing, he's getting outscaled, but... There goes a really good Rumble ult. And a nice Svenskeren play into Sven. Now, if this had just started off a little better for EG, they could actually win this. But the fact that they split themselves up at the start and Bang got destroyed at the start of it meant it was doomed. Huh. So what does Golden Glue do in this fight? He goes, throws that ult out. He's trying to avoid. He's his range is really limiting him here. Golden Glue's in this fight. Finishes off that target once it gets kicked to him. He's hitting Blabber. Backing up. Again, the range is really tough. Now he's low. He lifesteals some minions, and he's out of the fight. Yeah. CG's comp made it really hard if they weren't ahead here to win fights at this stage. And I think that's just what we saw. So they don't get the soul. Yeah. I think Huni did what he could there. The ult was really, really good, actually. I think the mid lane group needed to back out through that pathway together, not splitting up. I think they put a lot more pressure positionally on Cloud9 that way. So yeah. Now, I think the next fight will be the end of the game here. Pretty sure. So one question to ask for people is, from this game, and if you watch the previous game, do you think anyone on the team has played better than Huni? I don't. I think Svenskeren had some really good positive moments. I think Golden Glue's done some cleanups, some good cleanups. I think Bang and Zeyzal, I think Zeyzal's been honestly kind of bad. I think Svenskeren has had highs and lows, but a lot more lows. I think his pathing has been pretty questionable at times, and his quickness to read where he should go has been slow. I think Golden Glue has also been slow to move out of lane. I think Bang has played cleaner, but has not played assertively or created anything. And partly that's because Zeyzal, I think, has definitely been the weaker part of the duo. I think Bang has been really weak coming into a lot of team fights and had little opportunity to do much, but could have positioned better. But I think Huni has been the best person on the team. And even in this game, where I think this has been his worst game of the series, even after doing so well early on. So Huni's a little late to this, and he has TP. I'm not sure what they're looking for here. There's nothing to look for. Baron is up in 30, I guess, so they just want to fight for mid-wave so they can get onto Baron. Ornn engage. Hits Bang, and TF flanks him. Yeah. I don't know what Senna's going to do against an Ornn and a TF at this state. Huni arrives. He's trying to help out Bang and then realizes he can't do it either. He waffles around in the middle, wastes a bunch of time, drops his ult. But this fight is pretty irrelevant. The game's over already. Yeah. So I think the Huni Svenskeren pairing did not work. But I personally don't feel that was too much because of Huni. Empire says this was the YOLO draft after going into. Yeah, Huni played the start of the game really well, and then I really felt like he was tilting after that. And I think this comp, if they had cleanly used the lead that they had generated early, it could have won the game, but it was a little hard because you had basically the first mistake made it very hard to win. So, yeah. But overall in this series, I think Huni was the best player in the series. I think this game had his only really, really obvious mistakes. The other two games, I don't think there were big obvious mistakes at all. Just a few plays where there could have been some maybe efficiency differences. He could have done something a little differently. Okay, there's one more fight in this game, but it doesn't matter. And I think Svenskeren didn't give him what he needed. I think Golden Glue didn't really give him what he needed. And I think Svenskeren, Golden Glue, and Zeyzal all made some really big mistakes. So I think I still have more games of Huni to watch as I let this one play out a bit. I still have more of Huni's games to watch, but I think kind of what we've seen this series has basically been the trend through the ones I have watched so far. I think he typically does the right things. I think he applies a lot of pressure. I think what is going to determine things on TSM is how well he plays with Spica, first of all. And Spica has shown that he can enable a high-pressure laner, carry top laner very well, which with Broken Blade. And also, what's Power of Evil going to give in terms of mid-prio and map pressure and so on, things like that. So we'll see on that front. I think the main question for how well TSM is going to do as a team is is just like how well like a Huni and Power of Evil pairing can do, because I think Power of Evil is a little more like what can the jungler and support give him so that he can become the really big mid game factor. Whereas Huni also likes to be that, but in a different way. Power of Evil likes to farm up his lane a little more in the early game. Huni likes to apply pressure in the lane in the early game, stuff like that. So like it's just balancing out all those stylistic things is going to be the big question for TSM. I feel generally positive about it, but I do think it's not entirely clear. So we'll have to see how that balances out. But I think TSM have put a lot of good pieces together. I think people are sleeping on Huni and don't appreciate the kind of player he is a lot of the time, which is why I'm kind of doing this VOD review, and we'll have more content on that probably later this week. And I think B, people don't know how good Lost is, and Lost is really good. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of my take. If nobody ever disagreed with what I was saying, it wouldn't be worth putting out there. So I want to hear from you, whether you like what I was saying, whether you think I got it wrong somewhere. Either way, let's have that conversation. Make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. It really does help the channel grow a lot, so I appreciate it.